Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race Recap here on reality TV RHAPups. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and we are here to talk about episode 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars Season 8. We had our supermarket ball and a lot of looks to talk about. So let me waste no time in bringing in the fabulous Aman Adwin. Aman, how are you?
Hello, I am great. Ready to talk about some balls. Yay.
Yes. So many balls. I believe it's 30 looks that we have to go through, 3 looks per queen, 10 queens. It's a lot. And
hmm
Beth is not with us today. She's at commencement. And so she is busy, but she will be back next week to break everything down. So we've got some of her thoughts. We'll pepper them in as we go along. Otherwise, it's Aman and I breaking all this down. Don't worry, we got you covered. So we have, I would say, like maybe not an unexpected result here with Mrs. Kasha Davis going home. We kind of touched on it last week a little bit with some of her looks previously. So I know Beth was nervous about Darian, who ended up in the bottom. I was a little bit nervous for Mrs. Kasha Davis, which ended up being the 2 bottom queens here. Aman, how'd you feel about her leaving the competition?
Yeah, I mean, I feel this one was sort of like it felt. I mean, they all really feel cut short. I think when we got spoiled for last year, where we got to see the queens the entire season, now getting back into the elimination style feels like everyone is
Yeah.
just leaving before their time. Especially since we know that they're going to still be a part of the season with the Fame Games. So
Mhm.
to we're actually going to see the looks that we should be seeing if they were to stay in the competition. So everyone, I feel like from here on out, no matter who you are, everyone is just going to feel like it's, oh wow, like that was such a quick little stint on Drag Race again for you. Um, I was sad to see her go. I mean, but I do think that some of her looks were the weakest. When we go back through the looks again, I'll see if I still think
Mhm.
that she was the weakest in its entirety. But yeah, it was sad, and you could tell that she was sad to go, and they all feel like they really want to be there and have so much more to prove because so many of them were cut short on the original seasons as well. So
Mhm.
it just sucks to see it happen again for them.
I would agree with that. I was really sad to see her go. And, I think the decision wasn't as cut and dry. And actually, when I looked at Untucked, the vote split, it's a 4-5 vote. So
Yeah.
this is close. I don't think that an incorrect decision was made necessarily. I do think, especially the last look, was clearly the worst out of all of the constructed looks. But, we even hear the queens talk about this. Is it track record? Is it just that individual challenge? Is it a combination? Right. So there's so many things that could factor into the decision, which is why I think we end up seeing a 4-5 split vote here. And, really it being quite a toss up in terms of which queen would ultimately go home. But yes, as Aman said, we are going to go through all the looks. I have, if you're watching the YouTube video, pulled all of the looks. We'll go queen by queen through what we got to see. And I do think that, you know, it's sad to see her go. And Beth said this too, like this cast is really fun. And I agree
hmm
with that. I'm having a lot of fun with the cast. And so to have to lose another one. She was only there for 2 weeks. I know it's 3 episodes, but still, oh gosh,
It
this
feels
season's
so
gonna fly
fast.
by. It feels
Yeah.
so fast. I know, for sure.
I feel like with it, because it was interesting because we have really, I mean, for the past couple of episodes, the consensus has sort of seemed to be a little bit more leaning towards the track record signs of things. And if that were the case, then Darian Lake should have been the person to go. But I think with a challenge like the ball, where it's all really just the runway, this challenge. Like
Yeah.
I feel like with other challenges, you can sort of like make the argument like, oh well, you know, acting isn't everyone's thing, or singing isn't everyone's thing, or comedy isn't everyone's thing. So I'm willing to give them a little bit more grace. If they I'm willing to say like they need to go home because they've been underperforming. But when it's
Mhm.
just all like individual looks and it's like all based off of what you brought ahead of time as opposed to coming to the competition, sitting down, reading a new script that you haven't read before, I feel like maybe that lends a little bit more towards people being like, I'll give you some more grace because like you actually had better looks than the person that
Mhm.
technically hasn't been in the bottom before. So it's like it's weird. It's kind of strange.
It definitely is strange. And I think that this season in particular, I don't know if the edit is showing it more or this is a season where there are more emotional decisions that seem to be being made because so at the very end of or the very beginning of this episode, right? We go through what happened at the end of last week. So at the end of episode 2, we saw, Naisha be eliminated. So Jimbo picked Naisha as well. Of course, she was the group consensus and they go through the votes. And so we had 3 votes for Kahana. One of them, of course, being Naisha, the other 2 being Jessica Wilde and Kasha. And Jessica Wilde says, like, look, there was no way that I could send my sister home, like, point blank, period. There's no way I was going to do that. It was obviously an emotional decision, not based on track record. She says that straight up. And Mrs. Kasha Davis says the same thing. She was emotionally swayed by the plea that Naisha gave. And I do wonder if that also came into play here because we see this on the main stage where they show Candy giving a side eye to Mrs. Kasha Davis being like, thank you for your time. I appreciate being here. And I think that that's a reaction to like, oh, she didn't have that fire of like, she really wanted to be here. Where Mrs. Kasha Davis's reaction was more like, I have a loving like partner. I have a loving family. I've so much enjoyed my time here. I'm not going to like cry, battle, and say I need to stay. And it was something that Jessica Wilde said at her viewing party. I grabbed this off Reddit. So, third hand probably.
Yeah.
But so this was a user who said, I was watching the episode of Viewing Party with Jessica Wilde. She said that Kasha told her to choose her lipstick because she didn't want to send her bestie home, and Kasha would be happy to go back home to her family, and she knew that Darian wanted to stay really bad. So I do think that that emotional plea side of things is also coming into play as a huge factor for the decisions, at least for this vote in particular.
Yeah, and I like that because I mean, obviously I understood where Kahana was coming from when she showed a little bit of like she was a little angry, a little annoyed when she saw those votes come through because she's so gung ho to vote on track record, and well, of course she would be because she's been doing pretty well. I mean, she's landed in the bottom, but she's been doing pretty well other than that. So and it's also like a little bit of strategy. It's like I'm gonna firmly put out there that I am playing this way, so that if anyone is gonna like not play this way, then you can become a target, and no one should be coming after me because you have nothing to worry about with me. Like I'm gonna play fair. But it's also I was also like, well, get over it a little bit because I like the fact that people are allowing their emotions to be swayed. There should be. That's the whole point of the final plea. That's the whole point of like saying like, look, I really, really want to be here. Those moments are supposed to sway you. It's not supposed to be just about the track record. Sometimes it can be about who are you close with? Who have you made alliances with? What is speaking to you more? I might have been, if I were in the situation, I might have been swayed by Naisha being like, I really, really, really want to be here so bad. And even though Kahana like won last week, that doesn't mean that I don't deserve to be here. That doesn't mean that I don't have things to show. And if Kahana just came to me like, well, I did well last week, I probably would have been like, okay, bye. Like, you're not really giving me anything. Like, yeah, you did well, but like, I'm feeling more drawn to Naisha. So I'm glad that there are queens that are allowing that to happen because that's the name of the game when it comes to All-Stars. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. So
exactly. And I think we talked about like, oh, like vote out your biggest threat, vote out your biggest threat. That's sort of been the other narrative that we've thought about. It's like, oh, use whatever you want to make your decision. You don't have to go on track record. But if they're going to vote this way, I'm actually totally okay with that too. Like that's your prerogative. Make your decision however you want. And then that's going to make the season chaotic and fun. So I'm all right with it. I'm okay with it. And it makes me very curious to see how the rest of the season is going to progress, especially because we also are getting a lot of alliance talk too. So we get another segment in this episode where Lala and Heidi are trying to have this alliance conversation. We've heard over and over Candy, Jimbo, Heidi are in an alliance together because they toured together. I'm sure that that's going to come to fruition as well at some point, and I'm sure it'll play a factor in the voting.
Yeah.
Whew, okay, let's jump in to the main challenge. So this is not just any ball, it's the supermarket ball where the queens are tasked with creating 3 different looks. So legendary Legen-dairy Queens Fruity Patootie and Supermarket Supermodel, a high fashion look that they create that week using items that you find in the supermarket. So like unconventional supermarket materials, which I was very interested. I was like, what supermarket do you shop at? There were so many interesting things there. It was like, does my supermarket have like, liners for like Alexis Michelle was making one out of the liners for the
cabinet.
cabinets and stuff.
I
Yeah,
was
it was
thinking
like,
about that too. I was like, let me go to Acme real
does
quick
that.
because I might need some of those now. So I hate being an adult sometimes because you did not think about this stuff as a kid. You did not give not one flying fuck. And now I can go into a Target and be like, that little tea kettle looks nice. That little blonde. I think I use one. Oh, that little toilet paper dispenser. Let me go ahead and get that. I hate it so much.
Oh my God.
I was doing like window shopping on Drag Race. Like, what the hell?
Oh my gosh, it's so true though. Oh, it's so funny. And then like, yeah, because there's just like all these little like organizational things too that you don't
You're
think
like,
of. You're like, oh, I need these.
You're like, you get genuinely excited, like, oh yes.
I know. I remember like what I asked I wanted like a steam cleaner like for carpet and like upholstery and stuff. And I like asked for that for Christmas. It was genuinely excited to get it. Like, oh God, it's true. I'm a full adult now.
For this fucking chair for Christmas.
Yeah.
I was like, I need an office chair,
now.
baby.
It's fully happened. The transformation is complete. Okay. So yes. So they get unconventional supermarket materials. So that's not only food. I think was Jimbo the only one to actually make one out of food. But they get food and then they also get a ton of other materials like gloves and other materials, bags, whatever. Yeah, we'll go through them. So yes, so we're gonna pop up the looks, go through each of them. We can also talk about anything from the the random workroom content or walkthrough. And let's kick things off with Jimbo. So she's the first queen to walk the runway. Aman, what did you think about the 3 looks that Jimbo put out here? I mean, she did end up in the top.
So yeah, I mean they were very fun. I think she definitely played her cards right with I forget the name of all of the categories. The fruit one.
Yeah, Fruity Patootie.
Fruity Patootie. She definitely did a good job with that. Obviously, you want to give it a little, to suck up a little bit to RuPaul, and RuPaul loved it. You should have put T.S. Madison on there too, but I guess at that point they had no idea that T.S. Madison was going to be a full-time host at that point. The milk look the Legen-dairy look rather is it's okay. Like I feel like I've seen it a little bit before. Every time, like I'm a little bit biased when it comes to like bubble looks because I just always think about this bubble dress that Lady Gaga wore when she was first becoming famous. So I instantly am just like, I've seen it. But it's still very well constructed. And it's very Jimbo. The artichoke look, the supermarket supermodel look is, I could see where Michelle was coming from, where it looked a little clumpy. Like the form was not like all the way there, but at the same time, just like the ingenuity of it and the detail of it was something that was inspiring. I don't know altogether though if I feel like she should have been in the top. Once again, I don't remember all the looks in particular. I just remember feeling in the moment, I don't know about top placement. She's definitely not bottom. But I think that there might have been a few people that were a little stronger than her where she could have just been safe. So yeah.
I think for me, my favorite look is definitely the Fruity Patootie one as well. I think also because it's such
it's out of the box.
An out of the box. Exactly. It's an out of the box take. Her makeup was stunning also in these looks. Like she's really softened, I think, and taken a lot of critiques well in terms of her time on Drag Race. So I just want to applaud her makeup skills as well. The milk look is creative, and I think that it's definitely different. Does milk really have a lot of bubbles?
Yeah, that's another thing. I was like, why is your milk bubbling, girl?
I don't really get bubbles. If foaming, frothy, then maybe have a little, like, are you a latte kind of thing?
Yeah, like
it's still very cool, but I don't
carbonated milk.
I don't look at it and I don't see milk. Like maybe this is something that she had and then used it, which by all means, go for it. The last look, I do get Michelle's critique about, oh, it's just stuff stuck to a corset, but she worked with actual vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And credit where credit is due for that, because trying to like stick all those little lettuces on, and then also like knowing that they made it, and then did she put it in the fridge overnight?
I
Like,
was wondering the same thing. Like,
where did she store it to
hang it
just
in the
sit the
produce section.
exactly. Like, you know, the little misters, like
Yeah.
hang it up with it, spritzing it all night long. So that's what I'm like, how did those stay not like, how did those not wilt completely? So I want to give her credit for being the one, I think, to really work with the food in the
Mm-hmm.
best way possible. And I thought that the artichoke, like the way she used the artichoke stems for the her breasts, I thought was also very great. So
Right.
I probably would have put her in the top, I think, and just especially because of the creative usage of the lettuces for
Right.
for the last look. The next queen is Kahana. So Kahana ends up safe, which I did see some discourse online about that was an incorrect placement for her. Beth also agrees with that. She said, let me find her thoughts. She said that Kahana should have been in the top, and she thinks that actually she's not mad at the Jessica win, but I think Kahana should have won. Aman, do you agree with Beth's thoughts?
Yeah, I sort of remember being struck by Kahana's looks. All of them were sort of like different, and I was like excited to see what she was gonna look like coming out around the corner each time. Um, I'm kind of like trying to temper my opinion because like, I'm like, well, Kahana went home so quickly, so am I like, oh my god, whatever she?
Right.
It's kind of like it's only up from here, for her. So it's like
Mhm.
as long as she's not bad, then is it automatically good? But not always. I think that the legendary look is sexy and it looks good on her. But it's just cow pants in a top. You know what I mean? But it looks good. I mean, it follows the prompt and it nails the assignment. I
Mhm.
love the fruity petite look. I think that like just being the banana peel and like you have like the oxidized like patterns
Mhm.
on the peel are just really, really fun. And like once again, paying homage to one of my favorite characters played by Chris Tucker on The Fifth Element. It's just like it speaks to me. It's campy, it's fun, it's drag. I think that she nailed
Mhm.
that one. I think that the look for the supermarket supermodel is good, but I can't remember. And just looking at it, I can't remember what is the material. Like what about it is speaking to me that is supermarket. I love that it sort of looks sort of like 50s futuristic. That kind of like harkens to me of like, oh, she's like a 50s futuristic model or mom and shopping in the market, but like I can't like tie what the materials are. I can't even remember what they were.
I have no idea. It's some type of I think she said pool floaties maybe.
Oh, I think it was pool floaties. Okay.
So, which again, like if I'm thinking supermarket, the first thing I think of is food, but I guess there's a summer section in my
Mm-hmm.
supermarket and they probably sell pool
And there,
floaties
there are
there.
definitely. I've seen some pool floaties. I've
Yeah,
seen some kiddie pools in my supermarket.
exactly. I absolutely love her fruity patootie look as well. I totally agree with you that the way to add the dimension on the look was to add that browning oxidation of the banana. That's so cool. And the way it folds
Mm-hmm.
open, just this is probably my favorite banana look out of all the banana looks because there were a few. The dairy look, I think, is so cute, except for the breastplate looks so awkward because if you're going to do the under
Mm-hmm.
boob like that, you got to make sure that that part of your look is also very seamless. And because it's a slightly different color, it
Yeah.
doesn't have that same like nice look and blend, which makes it stand out a little bit
Like
and
it,
look a little bit
yeah,
awkward.
like it. You can kind of like see the separation between the plate and like her actual body, so it just feels a little. It takes the illusion out of it a little bit.
Right, exactly. It just takes a little bit out of it. This actually, the dairy look was one of Beth's favorites. The look as well as the constructed look. I think the constructed look is really well done in terms of the structure, and especially because it adds a lot of dimension with the way that
Mm-hmm.
she did the shoulder pads, shoulder pieces, and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. She's like right on that border for me that I could see putting her in the top, but
Mm-hmm.
I could also see her being safe, and I would be fine probably with either.
I think I would put her in the top because like the only main critique for me is just like I can't remember what this supermodel supermarket thing is.
Hmm.
But I think by virtue of all of her silhouettes being different and each of them
Right.
having like a clear concept is just in the dimensions of them all are just really, really good. So definitely
Totally.
strong showing for her.
Let's talk about someone who you have grown fond of.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we have James here with three also, I think,
This
very
is like the
different
season
looks.
of titties. Like there's
It
just so
really
many
is.
breastplates this season. Oh my goodness.
Very heavy and two very breast heavy looks with the constructed look as well as the citrus look. I think the cookie look is maybe one of my it's definitely the most unique, but still
Mhm.
screams milk and cookies enough for me.
Mhm.
I don't really get the pink color per se, but I'm really not mad at it. I think it's very cool. And I think for James Mansfield also, it's certainly a departure from what we've seen from her in the past. So I would say that that's probably my favorite look that she did. I think the citrus look is very cute and flirty. It's, she's got the essentially corset and panties with
Mhm.
the sort of dripping with the citrus. And I think she sold it well on the runway. And her constructed look is cute too. There's nothing like seems super complicated about it per se. And she did have the little cleaning can
Mhm. Very
separate.
campy.
Yes, Clorox Bleachman, I believe is its name. We learned it Untucked. Very funny. It doesn't really give me like high fashion per se, if that's what she was going for, but I
Right.
was really impressed with what she created. And I think overall, this is a solid, safe showing, I would say, for me, especially because the middle look is cute, but not wow.
I'm glad that she was able to construct it with like the breastplate in mind because you
Yes.
typically just think about, just your own body's dimensions, but to then have to think about the dimensions of the plate or just that's I'm glad that she was able to pull that off. Yeah, the Fruity Patootie look is sort of like just it feels like something that you would see Katy Perry wear back during her like, California teenage dream days. And yeah, I feel like the legendary look is like such a different point of view. Like I would
Hmm.
never think to do I would think, yeah, milk and cookies, but I would never think to do it this way.
Hmm.
So it's so whimsical, it's so wacky, it's very, very James Mansfield. You can just her personality is dripping in all of these looks, and I think that that's probably the strong suit for all of them. The constructed look is good, and it does give me supermarket. It does give me uh 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 mom going to the supermarket and then coming home and doing the chores. Like that's what it does give me. So I definitely see the vision and all of that. Definitely would have placed her mid to high. Mid to high.
Hmm. I think, yeah, I think there was for me a clear bottom too. And then everybody else kind of filtered in the middle, high middle somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. I would probably put James safe, high safe.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Candy. So Candy ends up in the top, which is something that Beth disagrees with. Actually, she thinks that Heidi and Kahana should have been in the top over Lala and Candy. And I quote, "WTF was that BS?"
Yeah, I, I okay. I The last look to me is the one that I feel like just disqualifies her from being in the top. I don't quite. I feel like I can see what she was going for. I think the strongest part of the outfit is the headpiece. What she constructed for the head was beautiful, but everything
Mhm.
else, I feel like Candy has such a good understanding of her dimensions and her body, and most of her looks are cater to that and are beautiful and great. And I love Candy on Drag Race because she's another one of these big queens that shows you, girl, even if you have a few extra pounds, you can still come out here and slay. With that being said, clearly design is not always her forte. Like I feel like back on season 11, the book bag look was cute and she definitely looked better than she had all the reason to be talking her shit with what's her name? Oh my goodness, Tamisha Iman, because Tamisha Iman's look like, girl, like, yes, you've been doing this for a long time, but the taste level, like Candy said, was not there. It just was not there. But even so, like it wasn't like that book bag look was like the best thing ever. So I just don't think that Candy's design skills are the best. I feel like I could see what she was going for in her head, but I just don't know if she executed it well. The other looks are great. I like this sort of like spilled milk look that she's got going on for Legendary. And the minute that she walked around, I was like, oh, cherry. I could see it. Maybe I needed a little bit more cherry imagery as opposed to just having like the little sticker and the thing in your hair. Maybe something on the corset, maybe beads of cherries. Like which I think she does actually have on on that little belt that she seems to have. But I feel like you could have pushed the envelope a little further. Like if it's Fruity Patootie and it's all about the fruit, then go campy as hell. Show me all of the cherries. So I think that she was definitely safe on the lower end this week. I do not think that she needed to be in the top.
So I've seen Beth include, I mean, everybody say like, oh, I think, Candy in the top. And I was like, I don't think she was in the top. I think the judging is just so confusing because they're being positive to the girls who are in the bottom. Not that they shouldn't be, but ordinarily there's a lot more negative critiques. Whereas in this season so far, it's just like one or two negative critiques and then otherwise like mostly positive critiques, even for the queens that are in the bottom. And Candy's negative critique was that we got the same silhouette from her essentially 3 times, or at least twice for sure with the corset.
Right.
I think she was actually in the bottom, like in the bottom 3, but it's so tough to tell. And I felt this in the last 2 episodes as well, where I couldn't, unless it was you are a winner or you are the bottom 2, I couldn't tell where the other people were falling. And I think that's why there's confusion, at least from my perspective, of where Candy was, because I think they put Jessica Wilde, Jimbo, and Lala in the top. And I think they put Candy, Darian, and Kasha in the bottom. That's my read of the situation, because they were still giving a lot of positive critiques, mainly to Darian, not so much to Kasha. But I think also like Kasha just got a ton of negative critiques because they hated her last look. So it felt like
last look was tragic.
Yes, like overwhelmingly negative. So that's my impression. And if she is, like, let's say she was judged low, not bottom, but low, I would agree with that. I do think that it is, your critiques, Aman, I think are spot on, especially about the Fruity Patootie look. I think that the milk look is very cool looking, but the way she presented it felt so weird and stoic, and like, maybe because she can't move in the thing, or she just like shuffled out there, but it looked very awkward.
Yeah. You definitely want to, you want it to appear fluid as opposed to like,
yes. Thank you. It's literally supposed to be this like liquid mimic, right? It's supposed to look like splashes. So you kind of want that body language to go along with it. So I would have put her in I wouldn't have put her in the bottom 2, but I would have put her low, probably.
Definitely.
Or safe but low.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Alexis Michelle, who is also safe here. She was the one who in the walkthrough wanted to stay away from bright colors and went for pure neutral tones. And also, as we were reminded, she was sent home on a ball in her previous season. Aman, do you think she did enough to be safe here?
I think she did enough to be safe, but it's kind of similar to Candy in a way, for me, because I think that that dress is just absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But am I getting blueberries aside from what's on your head? Not really. And I mean the legendary look. I definitely it's a cow. She's a cow.
It's giving cow.
It's giving very much cow. And the last look, I mean, it's not really giving me much. I mean, I'm getting model, I'm getting supermodel, but am I getting supermarket? I don't know. I mean, it's serviceable to me. It's like she was definitely better than the queens. Well, I don't know. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't know about this. I think that she might have been able to switch places with Dairy. I'll wait until the rest of the looks are there. But now that I'm looking at it again, I'm like, I don't know about this. This seems a little low to me.
I was really impressed with her blueberry look. But yes, except for even when she said I've got blueberries in my hair, they're just like They don't really look
They're
like
beads.
they're little yeah, right, exactly. But the dress is very stunning. Beth says that as well. One of her favorite looks was Alexis's blueberry look. I do not care for the cow look. I don't know why. I just don't like it. I don't know.
I don't like the boots.
I don't like it at all. I don't know. Maybe it's like the way the top fits her too. I didn't
It's a little
like it.
costumey.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't, something about it is not connecting with me. I don't have a good logical reason why. It's just my vibe. I'm not feeling it. And I think her final look, the constructed look, I think the top is actually quite gorgeous. I think the bottom skirt should have gone with her corset from the first ball she did, where they were the village people. I think that would have looked better. I don't know. I just think it looks, I don't like this.
I mean, it obviously, I mean, it's once again, it's better than anything that I could ever construct.
Exactly. Same.
But you know, we're not judging by me. I'm not a drag queen. You're a drag queen, girl. And you be sewing. And I feel like maybe if she made pants instead, I don't know, because then you could see a little bit more. Because a skirt, I mean, I don't design, but I feel like a skirt is easier than pants. I just feel like I just think that it's just
of course, yeah.
So maybe if you had done something a little bit more constructed, but
or maybe even just without the pleats. Like the layers that she did just kind of look weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Like I don't get any supermarket from it.
I don't really mind the looks that I don't get supermarket from. I just think it doesn't look good. So I am happy though that she's safe. I'm happy because she was giving so much in Untucked, and I think is very entertaining. Yeah. And her makeup also has been looking absolutely flawless. And she gets to talk in the workroom, walk through a little bit about her glow up, that her drag has evolved. And I think definitely we've seen an improvement from her. I think this week for me was just not hitting as well, but I'm fine with her being safe.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about LaLa Ri. So LaLa Ri ends up in the top this week. And this is, again, someone that Beth did not think should end up there. I kind of feel like they put her up there just so they could give her flowers, as compared to not being absolutely the worst that she was in her original ball with the bag look.
I guess, I mean, now that I'm seeing all these in a row, I guess I have to sort of no. I was going to say that I was going to give up a little bit on my critique about it not giving me supermarket, because a lot of them don't, but there are some that do and knock it out of the park. So it's like, you know, what do I pay a little bit more homage to, that one or these ones? I think that the last one is, I mean, like you said, the reason why she got so much praise is because she had nowhere to go but up. When you start literally from just having bags all over yourself, and then whatever the fuck was on her head, what was that on her head? That was crazy. That was crazy. And she stayed like, oh my god, I can't get over it. I think, yeah, so that, in comparison with this, like, obviously it looks amazing, and and I can see like a concept of like the silhouette. I can see what she's going for, and it's great. It looks beautiful. It's just I don't really get much else from it other than it looks better than what you had on before. I love the caramel, the caramel apple look. It just made me just want to just bite her. So I really, really felt that. I love the caramel dripping down on the shoulders. I thought that was fun. And I just got so much like Mary J. Blige / like Missy Elliott from the Legendary look. That's all I could think about when it came to those. So I agree with Beth. I don't think that she should have been in the top. I am the producers have sold me on the comeback narrative from bags to riches, I guess, for LaLa Ri. So I'm fine with her being safe. I do not think that she needs to be in the top for this, though.
I think I'm probably higher on her constructed look than a lot of other people are. I think it's very chic. I think the idea to go without a wig for it also, I actually quite like. I think her legs look
Yeah.
absolutely stunning.
Mm-hmm.
I do probably would have put Heidi in the top over her. I think that Heidi is someone who I was just a bigger fan of some of her looks, especially the milk look from Heidi. I really liked. I didn't quite get the. I get she's like a dairy witch kind of thing. Is that the
Yeah, the witch
hat
hat
that
is a
she's?
little weird.
Yeah, that was interesting. And then the my favorite look probably is the caramel apple, candy apple latex look. I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's really gorgeous, and I think the headpiece is cool. I probably would have put her in the top, but I don't, or put her safe, like safe high, but I don't think I would have put her in the top necessarily. But that's
I
fine. I
like
mean,
the
for
choice for the latex on the apple because it's sort of like kind of is reminiscent of like the little sheen that is on an
mhm.
apple. You know what I mean? So that was the nice touch.
Exactly. It was the perfect fabric choice for it. Right. If you're going to go for this like candied apple look, then the latex I think was really gorgeous for it. She moved a little awkwardly in it, but understandably so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got to talk about Darien Lake. All right. So I
Okay.
hate the constructed look. Okay. So that I think definitely for that reason, it was the second to worst construction look. Her middle look, I think, is very cute, and with the reveal, I almost wish she would have been in her cover up just a little bit longer before she had done the reveal with the bodysuit and the cherries. I think that that is very cute. And the first look is, I think, fine. Like they said, it's a little bit long, so you kind of miss the milk reference. Like I don't really get milk from it necessarily. It is white
Mm-hmm.
though, and milk is mostly white unless it's chocolate milk, I guess, or
I could
strawberry milk.
I can see the milk illusion at the bottom because then you can
Right.
see like where it's cut and it has like droops and spillage. I could get it at the bottom. The top, you sort of like lose it. It just seems a little bit more fashion at the top than milk. I forget, was the cover up really anything Fruity Patootie or was it just a reveal?
Yeah, it was pretty much just a reveal. It was like a yellow, orange, red kind of swirl. It actually reminded me a little bit of like sorbet. Like
Okay.
maybe I don't know if that's what she was going for, but because I was preconditioned to think fruit, that was the first thing that popped into my
It
mind.
would make sense though, because it's yeah, because she said it was banana split. It was her banana split look. So I guess that would kind of make sense that it's like all the cherry sauce and the whipped
Mhm.
cream and the banana all like just swirled into one. Okay, so
Mhm.
that makes sense to me. I remember when she pulled it off, I was like, "Oh, this is fun!" Like I just
Mhm.
it was campy, it was fun, it was fresh, it was funny. I liked her turning around and it's a banana coming out of her ass. Like it was that was a lot of fun to me. I think that there are bits and pieces of it that like I feel like could be a bit more fitting, I guess.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about the last look because I was debating who was it before? I think I was it Alexis Michelle that I was like, should she be in the bottom instead? Um, Now that I'm looking at Darian's look again, I'm like, I
Ugh.
don't know. I don't know if I
I
like.
hate this. I do not think that this also because if you're going for again like high fashion, I've never seen this on a runway before. Maybe the corset piece, it's just the skirt that's bad, but also
I
even
don't hate
the
it.
trail wasn't even. It was like
It
lopsided.
yeah yeah that part was that could have used some work. I don't hate it though because I feel like I see what it's supposed to be, but I
Which
guess
is
it's supposed to be like a corset with like with just like a little bit of a nice little skirt action going down. And then
uh,
the trail is supposed to be like aluminum foil, like sort of like
uh-huh.
rouge at the back. I
Yeah.
don't but I mean at least I can see this vision more than what I could see
Kasha's
with
Alexis.
oh, definitely with Kasha's and definitely with Alexis. Yeah. So,
Mm.
but I don't. But I guess construction wise, Alexis did a better job. But I think Darian's was more ambitious. So, like, who do I give
Mhm.
points to in the end?
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm stuck. I'm stuck on this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, the judges, what did they say? Let me see. Yeah, too long on the first look, as we had already mentioned. And then, yeah, they didn't like the skirt from the second look, but overall, we're really positive about the fruit look. And I think that's probably where I fall as well. I probably would have moved the titties on her breasts down a little bit, but overall, I think that the middle look is easily my favorite. And then probably the first and then the last look. I think the constructed look is my least favorite of the three.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's talk about our eventual winner. So, Miss Jessica Wilde. And I'm not going to lie, when she stepped out in that first look, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cute. I loved this so much.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would have added was like a spoon scepter kind of thing.
Ooh,
Otherwise,
that'd have been fun. Yeah, that would have
I
tied it
love
together.
everything. I love everything about this.
I think I would have that. I like that idea. I think I also would have added just a few more Fruit Loops. I'm not really sure where I
Mm,
would have put them, but there were parts of the dress where I was like, "Oh, that seems," because it's all white and like the
mm-hmm.
main, like your eyes instantly go to the Fruit Loops. So in my mind, like the parts that don't have Fruit Loops, it looks blank. Like it looks
Right,
like blank
empty.
space. Like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. It's not giving milk as much as it's giving just like empty. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that there should be more Fruit Loops like down the side. I think the back was particularly empty as well. But I thought it was so fun. It was, it definitely like legendary. Like it, you
Mm-hmm.
think it's some cereal and milk. Like how can it get any better? Um, the second look is. Uh, I mean, there's definitely acai on there for
Uh-huh.
sure.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but it doesn't feel like that's the centerpiece. It feels like she's out picking berries, which I guess is Fruity Patootie, yes. But
Mm-hmm.
it's giving me more like Little Red Riding Hood without the hood
Mm-hmm.
than
Mm-hmm.
Fruity
Mm-hmm.
Patootie. So I'm like, whatever. And Supermarket Supermodel, she looks great, but I mean, I guess it's just like it's the floral section, I guess. So I guess that works. It works. I just wasn't drawn by it. But she nailed the assignment. So I'm not gonna say that she didn't do a good job on it. She definitely did. But I guess I don't know. I just wasn't like moved by it, like in the same way that I was moved by other people's.
I think overall I think she did well. But I think in order of my favorite to least favorite, it's the order that she came out. Like I
Yeah.
was the most excited about the
Yeah.
first look and then kind of got like not disappointed is not the right word because again, I think she totally nailed the assignment. Looks amazing, especially her makeup in the last look with the hair color is just
It's just when you
stun.
start that strong, if it's not
Yes.
consistent, then it's automatic. Not that the rest are bad. It's like it's noticeable how not as good they are. Like it's
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it ever lived up to the first look. But I do think that the middle look is really cute. And I think that with a stronger third look, I think she really could have nailed this because, again, I don't necessarily get high fashion from this. I think it's a creative way that she used the flowers. But if you're going to
yeah.
glue stuff to a corset, I think Jimbo did a cooler job. Again, putting high fashion aside, just because of the use of like actual food
Mm-hmm.
versus Jessica, who, did use some of the flowers. I think they were fake flowers. And then just, whatever fabric she ended up using for the actual like main part of the corset. So I'm not upset that she won, especially because she gave us a fantastic lip sync. So being results oriented, I wanted to see the lip sync, so I don't want to take the win away from her. But if I were going just purely based on the judging, I don't know if I necessarily would have had her win. I for sure would have put her in the top, but I don't think a win is what I would have given her from me personally. But this, the fruit look was actually one of Beth's favorites, actually, as well
Yeah.
as the constructed look, which I don't see, but I'm glad that other people feel that way.
It's kind of funny because the look that she gave in the beginning it works for either Fruity Patootie or Legendary. It's kind
I
of
know.
a piece of me kind of wishes that she had come up with a way to just simply do milk and then come back out with the Fruit Loops and a spoon.
Oh my gosh. Could
That
you
would have been
imagine?
like such a clever like through line because then I would have been like, oh, give it to her, give it to her, like.
Okay, that would have been so fun. So if you come out, I mean, I'm sure they may have hated it, but you come out with the first look, no Fruit Loops, just milk, and you have a straw. Okay, so now you're
Mm-hmm.
like clearly milk that you're drinking. Then you come out with a spoon, a bunch of Fruit Loops stuck to you, and like the bowl, and now you're because they're Fruit Loops.
Yes, yes,
So that could have
yes.
been
That would have
cute.
been amazing. And then I would have been more forgiving of the last look.
Oh, that would have been such a risk though to
I
do,
know.
like, because they would have been like, it's the same look. It's like that's the point.
But if she just added more like propage to the first one to really give that milk illusion, like I don't know,
Right.
put yourself in like a milk bottle and you're like walking out and then it gives that kind of illusion and you like a straw at the top, like you said, maybe like a little logo
Mm-hmm.
somewhere to really give that that milk bottle look, and then you're out of the bottle and in a bowl. Like, oh,
And in a
that would have been,
bowl.
yeah, that would have
Ah,
been so good.
yes, from the bottle to the bowl. A true transformation.
I see it. I see the vision.
Mhm. We gotta talk about Mrs. Kasha Davis here. So, she ends up in the bottom, ends up getting eliminated, and we do hear quite the discourse about her constructed look, even in the workroom before we even end up on the runway, that she has
Yeah.
essentially glued seemingly everything that she can find to her look, as well as having a cake. And I believe, Aman, she was going for like kid's birthday party, I believe was the theme.
Which I can see it. It's just
Mhm.
not well executed. I definitely see the cake on the corset. I wish the corset were a little bit more fitting. I can see like the bottom is definitely giving me like balloons as well as like gift bags that you go away with, like with the little candies and party favors inside of it. Like, so I see it. I see the vision. It's just not it's not well executed. I think she had the unfortunate mishap of well, not mishap, but luck of having Kahana also be a banana, because
Mhm.
while yours is fun and definitely given more Chiquita, I think just Kahana's is just a stronger showing of banana than yours is. And the legendary look, yeah, no, girl, it's a white dress, and all the other milk dresses are white dresses, yes, but yours is like I'm not getting the illusion at all. It just looks like you sewed the little bits on parts on your shoulders and called it a day, you know?
Uh, so, okay. So for the first look, I think the gown itself is actually quite gorgeous. But at first, when she came out and I was like, why does she have that look on her face? She explained it was sour cream, but then I looked at the dress and I was like, you have a handle and a spout. Are you
Yeah.
not pouring milk out of like one of those little, milk pourry things, like the
Or you could
gravy
just be
bows or
sour
whatever?
milk. Why do you have to be cream?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Or is it sour milk that sat out for too long and it went bad? And then you can do the like, I'm a little teapot and you like pour yourself over or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like, I agree with you. It felt like this is a dress that she had, which again, we've talked about this how if you have to make all new looks, it becomes expensive. So
Yeah.
repurpose what you have. Totally. I agree with the judges though that it just like didn't quite come across. And again, this could be the inclusion of a prop. I'm a big straw girl today. I'm like, take a pool
Yeah.
noodle, cover a red pool noodle, cover it with white stripes. You got a straw, right? Like now
Yeah.
you're gonna be drunk, whatever.
She took a risk, because like it's a good point to remind us of, like, yeah, it's three looks, like, and on top
Mm-hmm.
of all the other looks that they have to bring and spend money on to really give a nice showing for the show. So yes, there are looks that some of these queens are going to have to sort of like mail it in, and you're sort of, but I guess when it comes to that, you're sort of like taking a risk. It's like, okay, which looks do I think that I'm going to be able to get away with? And I
Mm-hmm.
think just this particular combination of looks is like you mailed it in on the first look, and then someone else did a better banana than you did, and then the last
Mm-hmm.
look was just poorly executed. It was just like bad luck all around.
Right. And especially if you don't know what looks are going to come up where, when in the season, because sometimes we see it's like, oh, we've seen the same silhouette 3 weeks in a row. And it's like, well, it just so happened those are the 3 weeks that had
Yeah.
the same silhouette. They just happen to be in a row.
And if I'm not going to blame any of them for mailing it in on one of the supermodel or the supermarket looks, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like that's 3 in 1. Like, of course,
Yeah.
one of them I'm probably going to be like, okay, let me just throw some shit together, as opposed to like the other ones where it's just one singular theme for the runway.
Mm-hmm. The middle look for me, the banana look, I as I said earlier, I think Kahana's is cooler. This is still, though, very, very fun.
It's
And I
very
think it's
fun.
something that, yes, very Chiquita Banana, and I'm here to say, right, like kind of vibes. And the little bit of, I would have liked a little bit more length on the pants, but I'm not complaining here. I think that it's her best look easily of the three, especially in terms of fulfilling the assignment at hand. And then we've already discussed the quality of the last look, which the judges, of course, didn't like. Yeah, it was not the best. Okay. We got one more queen to talk about, and that is Heidi. So Heidi was not happy with the judges. And this is very obvious. In Untucked, she is not happy about it. I can understand why. I think that these looks are actually very gorgeous. She's got 3 clear different silhouettes. The milkman look, the first look, is, I think, so cute, so stunning. The strawberry look is also very creative with the way that she did the proportions of using the parachute pant kind of style to like be the strawberry that come together. So cute. And I think that her last look was very well constructed. I don't know what material she used. I don't know how she did that.
It was all paper, I think.
I'm very impressed with this.
No, there were napkins. I think this was the napkin dress.
Napkins.
Yeah.
Oh,
is,
yes.
paper, but yeah, that was napkins.
And especially compared to what we saw in the workroom, the walkthrough, it looked like just a bra and then a skirt. And so it felt like she even elevated it from what my expectations were initially. I would have put Heidi in the top and maybe even considered, because if I don't give it to Jessica Wilde, I think I could have given her the win here.
Yeah, this was a clear and cut robbery. Like they robbed her blind. I think that the tamest of the looks is the first one for me, but it's still clearly a legendary. Like, I mean, she's a milkmaid. Like, I mean, how can you get any simpler than that? And then, like you said, just like actually becoming the strawberry, but making it fashion with the parachute pants. Just genius way to go about that. And then the last look, I just love the construction of it, and it reminds me so much of season 8 with Bobby Drag Queen when the assignment was books, and he decided to go for the hardback of the book as opposed to pages like the rest of the queens did. And they sort of like were like, I don't really know about this, Bob. Like, I'm not really getting book from it. And they're like, well, it's books. It's the covers of the books. Like, and I was like, that's such a, like, what do you mean you don't get it? Like, she had one of the best looks. Are you crazy? And that's how I kind of feel about this one. Like, while she wasn't placed in the bottom, I just feel like it was underappreciated. Like, she just took a bunch of napkins and made a dress out of them. Like, I see the vision in all of these, and I feel like she just had like a clear and cut design for every single one. And so for her, I felt all that frustration. I was like, what are y'all doing? Like, I don't really understand this at all. So I think that she beats out LaLaRi here. I think that I think that she beats out Jimbo as well. So I if we want Jessica Wilde to stay in the top, it should have definitely been Jessica and I think Heidi.
Yeah. I agree. Especially now thinking about it, I really would have given Heidi the win this week. And I think that kind of leads us into a broader discussion really about the judging, because the queens have talked about this so far in Untucked, where we get this weird little snippet. They're talking about the judging, Heidi feeling like, oh, I haven't been judged fairly. I think that I, deserve better. We get a little bit of pushback. James is like, well, we all could be sitting here thinking that. I think it's in a confessional. She says that. And then we get this weird mention of Heidi being like, I want to leave.
Yeah.
And then it's very briefly talked about, and then we just totally move on.
I'm
nervous.
That was kind of, because she seemed like she was really pissed. I didn't know that she was that pissed until she said that. And I was like, ooh, okay. And I feel like they don't include that if it's not going to be a part of the story somehow. Like, so I'm hoping that it's just, because she's still in the trailers for next week. So I'm just like, maybe it's just like a thing where like she's going to, I have a prediction that maybe she calls out the judges or something like that, and like she's like, maybe it happens again to her, or maybe it happens to someone else that she feels like should have been in the top and they weren't, and someone finally says something to the judges like, are we rigging or what? Like what's going on? And if that's a thing, like, I'm kind of here for that, because for it to come from someone like Heidi and Clark, because it's one thing if it comes from a queen that doesn't, if it sounds horrible, but it's one thing if it comes from a queen that doesn't really have a lot of fans, doesn't have like a high profile amongst the fandom, or isn't particularly liked amongst the fans. Like them saying that kind of stuff, it's much more likely to be like, okay, whatever, queen. But if it's from someone that is universally adored, like Heidi and Closet, then it's like it holds more weight. And then we're sitting here like, well, yeah, RuPaul, like she's one of your favorites too, and she's coming at you saying this is kind of messed up. So
I don't know. I mean, it's not something the fans haven't been saying, right? Of that,
Right.
oh, there's favoritism, questionable judging, and storylines that you're trying to push through. It's just very interesting to really see this on the show because we've had, I mean, this happens in Untucked, right? They talk about, oh, who do you think is going to be in the top? Who do you think is going to be in the bottom? Oh, I'm shocked that this happened. This happened. It just felt really a lot in this episode, especially to culminate with Heidi being like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore, which I don't necessarily think that she's going to like outright leave, but I do think that there's going to be something along the lines of what you're saying, where something is going to happen, whether or not it's just a conversation and Untucked or maybe to the judges, which would be super fun. I'd be very much here for that, for her to kind of call that behavior out. I would be interested and curious to see.
Please do it.
Right. Otherwise, in terms of what else do I have? Oh, the one other super fun Untucked moment was Alexis, again, killing it in Untucked with the candy blush moment because I remember seeing
Everyone
them when they're
the
picking the
blush.
lipsticks. And I was like, why do they all have so much blush on? But it was a split second thing. So I was like, oh, maybe I just missed their makeup, or on the, the runway with the lighting, it just looks different. So I was happy that we got to see that here in the Untucked episode.
It was lovely to see Raja come back. Love me some Raja. Everyone was freaking out on Twitter because they were like, how did Kahana know that she was already a queen when this was supposed to have been filming before? That was like, it was like, calm down, guys. Like, they obviously chopped that together. Like, if you go back and look at it or listen to it, you can hear that it was like a ghost edit. Like, they just took a bunch of Kahana words and sliced them together, which, like, I don't know why they felt the need to do that. Why couldn't, like, RuPaul just like go back and like, I don't know. It was kind of weird that they chose to do it that way, but nevertheless, it was nice to see Raja come back. It did feel a little bit to me like she was taking it easy on Jessica, but it was also like Jessica also was just like, it was kind of like the tits won that for her. Like it really did. So because the judges could not just stop laughing and looking at those things. So $30,000. She's a bit of a target now. Like some people might be like, hey, I mean, you already won like a nice little chunk. So
bye. Right. Well, yes. So the lip sync, as you mentioned, Raja O'Hara is back, and they did show her. Yeah, her lower third is the winner, so they could have just done that. But the lip sync song, Kim Petras, Coconuts, and I totally agree with you. As soon as Jessica pulled off her reveal, which I didn't see coming, by the way, so that was super exciting.
I didn't see it coming either, no.
And just had these titas. It was such a glorious, wonderful thing. The judges couldn't stop laughing. Michelle is like losing it, literally hiding her arm or her head in her arm, just laughing so hard. I think once that happens, Raja's just like, okay, let me just collect my paycheck and get out of here. Because, I mean, after that, within a second of the song starting, it was done. Yeah, it was over. Right. And Jessica, I mean, I don't know if because this is a La Veneno reference, trans icon. I don't know if she had that look and was planning on doing this for Snatch Game. And then once she knew the song was Coconut, she was like, well, I have no choice. I have to do this. Because I saw a lot of people being like, how does she have the perfect outfit?
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, it was literally the perfect outfit. Also, this is the one lip sync that Jimbo maybe could have won. So unfortunately, for Jimbo here.
Yeah. Damn. This
amazing.
This kind of song was right up her alley, and nope, not this time, baby.
So Jessica Wilde wins, as you said, gets the fat paycheck of $30,000, and I think she came to slay. I think Jessica Wilde we're going to see in the finals, probably at least close, maybe final 5, if not final 4. I've been really impressed with what I've seen from her so far. I think that she's a queen who has consistently been strong, and I think that will do her good in this competition. So I'm excited to see more from her.
Yeah, I mean, I've like I said, I've always sort of been like the one that's like sort of annoyed when it becomes a little too obvious by the casting who we know is going to probably get pushed through to the end. And I still kind of have my suspicions about who we're going to see in the end, but there have been some performances and some interesting edits where I'm like, maybe there is a little bit more room for intrigue with this season. And now that we have this whole thing going on with Heidi, who I thought for sure was going to be one of the front runners, I'm like,
Same.
Maybe this season's going to be a little bit different, but I hope that I would like for it to be different in a positive way, not in a way that we're going to be like, what's going on? So
right. This is some shenanigans I call here. I too thought Heidi was going to be in the top. I thought this would have been the perfect week to give her a win, put Jessica in the top, put her in the top, and then, you know, give the queens that you want to give positive critiques to. But unfortunately, that's not the case. We'll see what happens with Heidi next week because the queens are going to be doing trailers for a sickening scripted series. It looks like they're working in pairs with one group of 3 or all groups of 3. How many queens do we have? I don't know. It looked weird. It was like pairs because Candy and Jimbo were working together.
I saw some pairs and I saw a group of 3. So it might be that. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe groups of groups of 2, one group of 3. Anyway, whatever. We'll figure it out next week. And also we get this is again why I'm like so harping on this Heidi narrative, because she says, I have tea that will burn this competition down.
Ooh.
What?
What does
no
that
idea.
mean?
No idea what to expect, but that's what we have going. Let me actually close out with a few other of Beth's thoughts. I want to be sure to get all those in there. She was devastated at this elimination, but said it was the correct call for the bottom 2. Oh, Kasha Davis's line of I don't sew because I'm not Amish and I have good credit killed her, which I do think also so funny. I'm actually really sad to lose her. I think she's been such a fun queen. I'm really sad to have her go. But
I know.
And what else? Oh, yes. Lala and Heidi trying to chat strategy and align with everything, come through strategic, non congenial gameplay, and lots of revelations in this episode. Kinks being shared, crushes exposed, and MKD and Darian made out once. Side eye emoji. There we have the rest of Beth's thoughts. And she will be back with us next week as we talk through episode 4 of the acting, scripting, challenge thing that we're going to see. Let's end things out here. Aman, where can people find you on social media? What do you have going on?
You can follow me everywhere at Aman Adwin. Just have this for now. I did record with Bryce, so you can expect me on the Purple Pants podcast doing our usual casualty pop culture update on Tuesday or today, whenever you're listening to this, but Tuesday of this week.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Liana RHAP. Masked Singer is done. Puya and I recorded our finale podcast, so that should be out now if you're interested in hearing our thoughts on the conclusion of Masked Singer season 9. The B&B recorded a super wackadoo episode with, so Mike was there, of course, as well as Jenny and Phil. We played the Claim to Fame Survivor Clue game based on the TV show Claim to Fame, which was absolutely outrageous. I don't think I've ever laughed harder in my life. I highly recommend checking that out. And I was also on the 90 Day Fiancé podcast last week to talk about everything from the first finale and first part of the reunion for 90 Day Fiancé. So that does it for us. We will be back next week. If you want to leave your star ratings and reviews for us, you can do so at robhasawebsite.com/drag race. Thank you to the whole RHAP team for all their help behind the scenes, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.